There are a million different things that you can do to improve the overall quality of your YouTube videos. But if you do really want to grow your channel, these are 5 things I did that helped me go from 0 to 20,000 subscribers on my main channel and get a little over 12 million views in total. And I think if you focus on these 5 things as well, it'll help you find a lot of success. So without further ado, let's get into it, starting with our first element, and that's picking the right title. Even if you have a small channel, putting the right title on your video can massively increase your chance of getting views. And I found that there are a lot of different techniques that you can use to improve the click-through rate when it comes to your titles, but one thing I constantly end up coming back to is search focus. And what I mean by that is that you want your title to include certain phrases and keywords that people are commonly searching when they're looking at videos in your niche. And oftentimes that may mean that you're going to make your video really specific in terms of your title, and it might have a pretty long tail to it. But at the same time, don't be afraid to incorporate a little bit of an entertainment aspect into your titles along with those search focus terms. For example, if you're making a video on the best running shoes for people with wide feet, the title could be something like Top 10 Best Running Shoes for Athletes with Wider Feet. Because with a title like this, not only do people know that they're going to be getting a video about shoes for people with wider feet, but they also know that they're going to be getting a list with multiple different options to choose from, and they'll probably hear a little bit of comparative analysis between those different options. In other words, when you draft your title, you want it to clearly represent the contents of your video so that people aren't surprised or confused when they click on it. At the end of the day, any title that involves answering a question, solving a problem, or just generally providing helpful information is going to be met with a lot of people that are interested. And if you want to find keywords that have a decent search volume, there's a ton of free tools out there you can use. For example, you can just go on Google and look at their autocomplete suggestions. Anything that comes up there through autocomplete is going to be a search term that people are looking for. And then Keywords Everywhere is another cool tool that you can use that has a free option that will give you an idea of the search volume for different phrases in your niche. Moving on to the second element, we have to talk about thumbnails. You have approximately 1 second to capture someone's attention with a thumbnail on your video, so you're gonna want to make it count. It can actually be really easy to spend too much time working on a thumbnail, and over 100 long-form videos that I've posted, I'm definitely guilty of this. It doesn't have to be too complex, there's really just a few rules that you want to follow. And the first and one of the most important rules is to make your thumbnail high contrast and easy to read. If someone can't immediately tell what your thumbnail is about within a half second, they're not going to click on your video. And if there's too many words, messy fonts, or low quality photographs, that's also going to decrease the likelihood of people clicking. Now, there is no clear-cut rule on whether or not you should include text in your thumbnails. Some do really well without any text at all, and some do well with a few words. But if you do include text in the thumbnail, keep it really brief, 3 to 4 words, and make sure the font is large enough to be legible. And keep in mind that your thumbnail isn't showcasing your abilities as a photographer either, it's more so showcasing your ability to get someone to click on a video. So don't worry about having the perfect photo. If anything, sometimes you can even tweak the saturation or the contrast to get your images to stand out. If you want a great place to make your own thumbnails, I personally use Canva. Their free version is great, and if you're willing to spend around $8 a month, they have a great pro version as well. And also make sure that your thumbnail tells a story alongside your title. They don't have to contain the same words, but someone should be able to look at your title and thumbnail and tell that they go together. Next up, let's talk about audio. From a technical perspective, your audio is maybe the most important part of your video. And these days, almost everyone has access to really great cameras on their smartphone, but you can really notice quickly when someone does not have great audio. And on top of that, there's also so many great creators that have amazing microphone setups, so people have gotten used to a certain standard when it comes to audio. Thankfully, it's never been more affordable to upgrade your audio, so here are a few options. First up, starting around $25 to $30, you can get a clip-on lavalier mic that will connect directly to your phone. Next, if you spend around $80 or more, you can get a decent shotgun mic. Now this can also connect to your phone, and it can mount on top of your tripod while you're filming. And then if you ever make videos sitting at a desk, just getting a decent XLR mic like the one from Audio-Technica that I have here can be a great long-term investment, and this one was only $100. You can also get a USB style podcast mic that will connect directly to your computer, and if you have the XLR one like I have here, you will need to connect it to an audio interface. And the interface I bought also ran me $100. So $200 all in all for a pretty high-end audio option is not bad, and if you want to go for something more affordable, those shotgun mics are also great. Also, if you ever have background noise coming from people, fans, or cars in the street, a lot of video editing applications are going to have ways of reducing that background noise. For example, I use CapCut, and there are a lot of ways you can improve the audio quality once you have your video uploaded. And speaking of your video, let's talk about our fourth element, which is going to be video quality. When it comes to video quality, it's not as much about what you have as it is how you use it. Because the only 2 things you need to have good video is a camera and lighting. And that camera could be whatever is on the back of your smartphone, and the lighting could be coming directly from a window. In fact, the first 50 long form videos I posted, I just mounted my iPhone on a tripod right next to my window, and I made sure to film during the day. It can be a little bit annoying to get the framing right when you're using that rear camera on your smartphone, but after a little bit of practice, you get used to it. And after a while, I decided to upgrade some components one at a time, and eventually I got the Sony ZV-E10 to use in place of my smartphone, and that's the camera that I'm using right now. And to get more flexibility with when I film my videos, especially if I wanted to film a video at night, I decided to get a softbox. The one I ended up picking up online was $70. It does provide nice light, but it does take up a lot of space. If you want to get something that is a little bit more slim, if you have any space constraints, I would recommend getting an LED light. And it's completely optional, but I like to have a little bit of color in my background while I'm filming, so I decided to get one of those small multicolor LEDs. It ran me about 40 bucks. They're really cool, easy to use, and you can change the color to pretty much anything you want. But don't be intimidated by more expensive or high-end video setups. Your phone and a simple lighting setup is more than enough to get started. In fact, there are still some wildly successful creators that only use their smartphone to film. But if you are interested in upgrading, I'll leave links to all the lighting and camera gear that I use in the description below. And finally, arguably the most overlooked aspect of your video success, let's talk about the first 30 seconds. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got about making long form videos is to focus on the first 30 seconds. Now, if you've ever looked at a retention graph of a long video, you know that the first 30 seconds are critical. And that's because in many instances, up to 50% of the people that click on your video may no longer be there once you get 30 seconds in. As people, we tend to judge things really quickly, and if we feel like our expectations aren't being met when we click on a video, we're gonna know very soon and we're going to leave. And for me, I found that the most important thing that I can do within those first 30 seconds is guarantee the viewer what they're going to be getting out of the video. And that's because with your title and thumbnail, you essentially ended up making a promise to the viewer. And once they click on your video, you need to be very clear to them as soon as possible that you are going to make good on that promise. So try and give your audience a one-sentence hook, tell them what they're going to see in this video, and give them a reason to stay. And if you can improve that 30-second retention up to something like 60 or 70% from that initial 50%, you will show to YouTube that you're able to get people to keep watching your videos. And if YouTube is seeing that people are watching your videos for a longer amount of time without clicking off, they're going to be way more likely to recommend you. Also, when it comes to the editing side, don't be afraid to add more effort in those first 10 to 30 seconds. Because ultimately, it doesn't really matter if you're doing a lot of fancy cuts, transitions, and adding background music at the 10-minute mark if no one's there. Obviously, you want your entire video to be of a high quality, but try and front load some of your efforts in that initial 30 seconds. I really think that those first 30 seconds kind of form a trifecta along with your title and your thumbnail as the most important things driving the success of your video. And if you focus on improving those three different aspects, you're going to see a lot of growth in your videos. And guys, that is going to do it for this video. My name is Douglas. Hopefully this video has been helpful. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed, and I will see you on the next one.